welcome back to Ireland AM. Now, from the barricades of Les Mis to Marvel's Hawkeye, he's the homegrown talent who continues to dazzle on stage and on screen. He's back on home soil for his latest performance, and we're delighted to have in studio this morning Fra Fee. Good morning, Fra.
Hello, how's it going?
Great to have you on.
Yeah, it's really lovely to be here. I'm really loving your set.
Oh, thank you.
You're giving the impression that it's not completely bucketing outside.
Yes,
yes. Well, look, we decorated the place ourselves, didn't we, Sean?
Yeah, the studio lights give you that coziness that we shouldn't need in the middle of June, but we
It's delightful.
So, Fra, you're currently living over in the UK, but you're from Dungannon, County Tyrone.
Yeah.
Growing up, were you an outgoing kid, always destined for, a career in the arts, do you think?
Oh, my God. I guess you'll have to ask my parents how precocious and show-offy I was.
OK.
But I always enjoyed performing. My dad is really into amateur dramatics, and so he would have introduced me and my sisters to acting and drama and all these wonderful writers, and I always loved to sing. So, yeah, it was all around me, you know, just the idea of storytelling and performing, and I feel very lucky that I'm able to do it now.
Yeah.
So,
because you left Northern Ireland in the early 2000s, wasn't it? Was that kind of a career decision? You were like, if I want to actually do this professionally, I'm going to have to go.
I guess so. I was also just really keen to just spread my wings a little bit. So I went to university in Manchester to do music, because, like I said, I was really into my music and singing and everything. And always really loved acting as well, and sort of needed a few years to figure out how I could really merge those interests, I guess. And then I went to London and studied musical theatre, and I did musicals really for the first few years of my career. That's sort of a shortened version of the journey.
OK, and then you've done so much since. But acting is very much about expressing yourself. And I have read in articles year before that you said growing up in the north of Ireland that you found it maybe a little bit tough to fully express your true self, your identity.
Sure.
Why do you think that was?
I just think we had a long way to go, really, in terms of accepting people's differences. I'm so proud of where I'm from, and I think Ireland is an unbelievably inclusive and wonderful place, and I feel very safe here. But whenever I was, a teenager in Tyrone, it was important for me to get out and to have a little bit of anonymity, to explore and figure out what was going on with me, and coming to terms with my sexuality, because a lot of the signals, I guess, that I had been told in school and with in a sort of religious-based school and everything was telling me that maybe there was something wrong. So I needed to sort of battle that and combat that.
Of course.
But yeah, I'm very, very proud of where I'm from, and Ireland's is a real shining example, I think, to the world.
Beautiful.
Yeah. So you were talking about melding the acting and the singing, and you did that really with Les Mis, not just the stage, but the movie as well. I mean, that had to be pretty cool.
Yeah, it was extraordinary. I was in the stage show in the West End for a year. I think I'd been doing it for about maybe 6 months, and we'd heard that this movie version was being made and Tom Hooper was going to be directing. And I think all of us had the opportunity to audition in some way, because of course there's a million parts, and I was just unbelievably lucky to be cast. I guess I was the right age to play one of the students, and it was one of the first times that we were singing live on a movie set, which was amazing. But of course it was what I was really used to as being a stage actor, and it was just the most thrilling thing. I think it's a class film as well.
Oh, it's amazing.
How does that work? I've always wondered how that worked with musical films. Are you doing it live each time, or are you kind of doing the acting and then record the vocals separately?
Well, this one was different, wasn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Traditionally, you would record the soundtrack, or the cast recording, whatever, months in advance, so it's a really, really clean take.
Right.
But what we did, we had Jennifer White, who's a wonderful musical director that I know very well, a great friend of mine. She was playing a little keyboard somewhere offset, and she would be listening to us singing live. And so we would be determining the speeds, if we wanted to slow down, whatever, our interpretation of the music, which was facilitating how we were actually doing the acting and the emotional side of things. So she would have to play along with us, and then that's what they take to orchestrate and score fully.
Oh, wow.
And of course now it's become a proper thing. Like they do live singing in Wicked, you know.
Yes.
Cannot wait for part 2.
You and me both.
Oh my God. Just bring it on. But it means that the actors have such freedom to just explore it authentically and be truly in the moment.
Yeah. Can I ask you, just on the topic of Wicked, would you ever be interested in playing the role of Fiyero?
Sure.
Okay, we're putting it out there.
My Fiyero days past. No, I'm sure I've got a few more years left.
I think you'd be a great Fiyero, personally. Anyway, sorry. So in Les Mis, you played a character, a very close friend of Eddie Redmayne's character. We had another connection with Eddie Redmayne outside of Les Mis, also with Cabaret.
Yes, yeah. Eddie played the MC in the newest production of Cabaret, which is still on in London, and there's a production on Broadway as well. And I think he had like a few weeks left to perform in the show, and I got a very, very out of the blue offer to take over the role of the MC. And so I got a text message from Eddie just saying, I hear that you're going to be MCing. It was a real wonderful sort of passing on of the baton. And a great experience, and his interpretation of it was just like nothing I'd ever really seen. He's really phenomenal. He's such a chameleon of an actor. So it was quite scary to step into those shoes.
Yeah, no pressure.
Yeah. But he was very generous and very supportive. It was a real thrill, and I had the best time in that show.
Yeah.
If you haven't seen that production, like, it's really worth seeing.
One of the other ones that got you a lot of attention was when you played Andy in Lost Boys and Fairies.
Yeah.
It's kind of one half of a gay couple that's adopting a child. Is that like what drew you to that role?
Oh my goodness, I'm so proud of that show. I actually saw Sean Daniel Young last night. He's over in Dublin at the moment. He plays Gabriel, and we're both so proud of it. When the scripts came through, I got sent episodes 1 and 2 before I got offered it, and then I got sent 3 and was just weeping uncontrollably at the beauty of this story. And what I loved about it, particularly as a gay man as well, was its sort of normalness. You know, it's just these two men living a domesticated life, and they want what other heterosexual couples very often want eventually. It's to start a family. And the adoption process, I don't believe, has been covered all that much, particularly from a gay perspective, on TV. So, like, that process was really unique and very different, and just so moving. You know, these kids really are in desperate need of a home and of loving parents. And so to really tune into that and tap into that and imagine what that would feel like was just the most moving experience. Yeah, I loved it.
Yeah. And you played an accountant in that show, didn't you?
Yeah.
And you're representing, you know, a person from the LGBT community on stage who's going through something, or sorry, on screen who's going through something that a lot of people will. And I have to say congratulations. You married fellow actor Declan Bennett last November in Ireland.
I did.
Huge congratulations on that. What was the day like?
Oh God, if you ever get an invitation to Mount Druid, which is this awesome venue outside Mullingar in County Westmeath. It's just class. So everyone stays in these shepherd's huts or yurts or whatever. So everyone's there, and it feels like you've just been given the keys to the kingdom, and they look after you. It was so special. And yeah, to have it in Ireland, you know, it was unreal. It was great.
No, it sounds and looked amazing. Your home soil for the Pillow Man. Yes. Martin McDonagh. Tell us about it.
I'm so thrilled to be doing this play. I'm a huge fan of Martin McDonagh. I had been since I was a kid, and saw, you know, some of the Linan trilogy plays up in Northern Ireland. And of course, more recently, you know, with his movie success, I think 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri is one of my favourite films.
It's incredible. You know, incredible movie.
So good. And The Pillow Man is one of Martin's best, undoubtedly. It's not set in Ireland. It's sort of set in a nondescript totalitarian state. And I am playing a character called Couturian, who is a writer who's been interrogated about the sort of gruesome content of his stories. And some of the stories are resembling a number of murders that are taking place in this town. And so he's been interrogated and they assume that he's guilty. And it is just deliciously dark and like all of Martin's great stuff, best stuff, very, very funny. It's got a wonderful cast, and Lindsay Turner, our amazing director. And at the Gate, where I worked, 10 years ago, so an amazing space. I think it's going to be really, really special piece of theatre.
It sounds it. And now you have something in common with Lily Allen. You were telling us just before you came on air.
Yeah. Lily Allen was the last person to actually play this role.
Yeah.
She did in the West End. It was the first time that part had been played by a woman. I read that she had started learning her lines months and months and months in advance. And when I got to rehearsal day one, I was like, yeah, maybe I could have done that too. There's a lot of stories to memorise. But yeah, we'll get there.
That's incredible. And is working on a Martin McDonagh production, is that a bit of a bucket list moment for you?
For sure.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Sure. I'd say he just has to be one of the best living writers that we have the pride to be associated with, he's unbelievable. It's a real thrill. You don't get to tackle this meaty stuff all that often. Yeah. So I feel very lucky to be able to.
You also, to talk about the much bigger world, the Marvel universe, which you were in through Hawkeye.
Yeah.
Do you have your own action figure?
Yeah.
That is cool.
I can't believe it took us this long in the interview to get that out. Oh my goodness, I would be shouting about that from the rooftop.
It's so weird, isn't it?
Oh my goodness, I need one. Right.
That must be a real I made it moment.
I wouldn't worry. I can't imagine they've been flying off the shelves. So you can probably...
Well, they will be now, once we've said it here.
eBay in 15 years, you'll make a fortune.
So the Ferryman is going to be at the Gate Theatre, opening on Wednesday the 9th of July and running until Sunday the 7th of September. Best of luck at it, Fran. Thanks so much for the chat.
Thanks so much. Cheers.
Thanks for coming in.
Derek, remind us, what is coming up after the break?
Yes, Scarabila, Shiv and Sean coming up after the break. I got a lesson in the kitchen, would you believe, as I sampled the impressive culinary skills of students of Bonesco, Raith Lamar down in beautiful Passes West in County Cork earlier this week as part of the Tesco Stronger Starts Cooks initiative. Stay with us, we'll be back with you after this quick break.